Okay, today we're looking at installing Telerik Fiddler on Windows. The idea here is that something like Fiddler, which is what we refer to as a web proxy, is capable of accepting a request after it leaves a web browser, but before it gets to the web server. What that means is we can intercept it in that proxy and we can start changing the content of that request before it reaches the server. That's important for a lot of things. Firstly, if you're developing web applications, it's really useful to be able to intercept requests, modify them, and it helps with debugging your web applications. Secondly, if you're doing security testing, like ethical hacking, that sort of thing, it's very useful to be able to intercept requests and change their content so you can try to hack things and try to make unexpected requests to the server and see what the results are. So, installing Telerik. First thing is telerik.com/fiddler, installing Telerik Fiddler. I've got the Fiddler Classic version installed for Windows, so I've already installed that in the background, and it looks a little something like this. What I've done is I've made the font a little bit bigger so you can see some of the wording on the screen. That's kind of made the interface look a bit funny, but ignore that for now. It usually looks a little bit more pretty. So, key things I need to do to get this working. First up, currently I'm using Firefox and I've gone into settings. I'll do that again. I've gone to settings and I've typed proxy in the search there. And if I go into the settings for the proxy, what I want to do is I need to set this proxy up so that when my web requests from Firefox go somewhere, before they go out on the internet, they go to my own computer and they hit Fiddler. So Fiddler's going to want to see those requests so it can intercept them and let me change them. Now, I've already set this up here, so the IP address of my current machine, as always, is localhost 127.0.0.1, and Telerik Fiddler by default runs on port 8888, so you can see I've got that set up there. So, with that running, all of the requests from this browser should now start going to Fiddler. So I'll just move that across there. And one of the things we can see in Fiddler is it's got filters. So what I've done in here is I've said use filters. It's a little bit small and show only the following hosts and star.gavinjl.me. So that's my website where I do blogs. So what I'm saying there is only show me requests and responses from that website. So I've got my website right here and I'm going to hit refresh. And you can see requests that are being made to the server on the right there. So if I double click one and enlarge this, what we can see is the actual content of the request. So this comes in text form. This is what the browser's actually sent. So we can see it's actually making a request to the domain, that is my domain, and it's getting a response. The response is actually encoded, but we can just click this button and decode it. Now, one of the important things you need to do to make this work, because this is running on HTTPS, the browser is actually making encrypted requests between the client and the server. So I've already done this in the background, but I'll show you how to do it. What you need to do to decrypt those requests, if we go into Tools, Options, there's HTTPS. What you need to do is click Actions and Trust Root Certificate. What that does is it allows Fiddler to install its own certificate. And by doing that, it allows Fiddler to decrypt traffic that the browser is sending. So instead of just receiving encrypted garbage, it can actually see what's in there and it allows it to work. And you can see I've got a positive request there that's been added. So that's what allows the encrypted requests to actually work. Otherwise, I just get garbage. I wouldn't be able to see what's going on. Okay, so that's really basic way to look at proxied web requests in Fiddler, but we want to do a little bit more than that. So what we're going to do, if we just select those and delete, what we're going to do is if you go into Rules, Automatic Breakpoints, and Before Request, the shortcut for that is F11. What that's going to do is say anytime a request comes into Fiddler, it's going to stop the request before it goes onto the server. Now that's really useful because we want that to enable us to start editing those requests before they get passed on. So if I refresh that page again, you can see it's stopped the request there. I'm just going to turn that debug breakpoint off again. You can actually do that with a little button at the bottom here, or you can hit F11 again if you want. And maximize this, double click on that request, go into the raw tab. Again, you can see the request, but this time we have the ability to edit it. We're not going to do that just yet. What we're going to do is say run to completion, this green button here, and allow that to complete. So that's actually refreshed the page. Now, what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to go into one of the blog entries on the website, and you can see it's gone off and got that. Again, I'm going to say delete that. I'm going to use the button at the bottom to turn debug back on again. And what I'm going to do, you can see at the top here, the URL is actually the URL for this blog post. And that's important because we're going to change that. So I'm going to say refresh. The browser is going to make a request to this exact same URL. So it's going to expect to get this page again. Hit refresh. It's a breakpoint over here. I double click on it. Maximize that so we can see it again. I'm going to turn the breakpoint off so further requests actually work. Look at the raw view and we can see the full URL for the blog post. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete that part. So instead of requesting the blog post, I'm just going to request the front page of the website. And you can do this with any part of the request. There's actually a lot of headers that are contained in requests, a lot of things that if you're debugging or if you're doing some ethical hacking, you can change these headers. And there's a lot to understand in there. But we'll go into that in another video. So for now, what we're going to say is run to completion. So we've changed the URL. So the browser is expecting to refresh this blog post page, but we've changed the URL after the browser to say, actually go and get this different page, go and get the front page. We're saying run to completion, and it's gone off and got the front page. So that's a really good example of how we can very easily edit requests. Now, obviously we can do a lot more if you're trying to debug things. You might be changing API requests that come from the browser, or you might be adding query parameters to the requests that come from the browser. And you can actually start repeating requests. You can use this very easily for debugging purposes. It's really good at that. Not so good at hacking. There are some other tools that are good at ethical hacking, and we'll do some videos on those too. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and most importantly, don't forget to code securely.